One, in fact, and that's because for the most part, this tax policy, or this reform that we've done, it is, in a lot of ways, it will touch everyone. Good, bad, or indifferent, it will touch everyone. And if you look at the bill and went through the summary, and I don't know if you've had a chance, if you'd like, email me during the meeting. My email address is dmccay, MCCAY, le.utah.gov. Email me, and I will send you a summary of what the bill does. And you can see the finances of what the bill does. Let me tell you, I did not prepare the summary. The summary is prepared. We have PhDs and economists who work at the state of Utah, and they are nonpartisan fiscal analysts. And their primary responsibility is providing nonpartisan, non-biased, objective financial economic data on what a bill does or doesn't do. Okay? In a lot of ways, the summary will break down for you what the bill does, how it might affect your life. The first page, it will show you based on what your age group is and how many kids you have at that age group, how it will affect your life individually. I'd encourage you to go and review that information as you're trying to make those decisions. It's okay, I'm used to really loud noises and kids in the background. It's not, I got 6 of them, it's not that big of a deal. So I'm just glad they're here. So I would say go read the information, right? Now let me tell you a little bit about why, and then I'm happy to have a conversation with anybody and answer any questions. I know that our Democratic colleagues in the room felt differently. They attempted to amend the bill in a bunch of different ways, which they thought were meaningful, and I don't take any qualm with that process at all. The legislative process is really interesting. I don't know that I've ever had a bill or a subject that has been discussed more than this issue in the 8 years that I've been in the legislature, period. Despite the fact that we've been discussing for 8 years, the Tribune started covering it about 4 months ago. So as a result, everyone thinks that we started working on this 4 months ago, maybe a year ago, right? We've been working on this for 8 years trying to figure it out. So let me give you a hypothetical, and I'm certain that there are problems with this hypothetical. Let's not get too analytical about the hypothetical. But we all in our personal lives have a budget, and we're all trying to balance what what we spend money on and what we don't spend money on. I imagine your household, if it's anything like my budget, your budget has a transportation budget where it has to cover your gas, it has to cover your payment on your car, or maintenance on your car, and those kinds of things. You've got transportation. You've probably also got an entertainment budget, right, where you cover how much you're willing to spend every month on, entertainment expenses and those kinds of things. You probably also have a household food budget where you're keeping track of and regulating how much you spend on household food. And then you've kind of got probably a catch-all in your budget that's like whatever crappy thing happens that month that you've got to deal with, right? Revolving savings of some kind. So you've got these 4 categories in your budget, and certainly there are more. We have more. I mean, I have a shoe budget. My wife laughs at me. I have more shoes than her, so that's a problem. But that being said, these 4 budget items, if you're running low in the transportation budget because you have a major repair, a transmission problem or whatever, you make adjustments to probably your entertainment budget, right? You probably make adjustments maybe to your transportation. You might, if you drive downtown, you might jump on a UTA train now for 3 days a week because you've got some changes in your transportation budget. You're looking to save money, right? You might look at eating in as opposed to eating out in your food budget, right? You make those adjustments, and in a lot of ways in your household budget, this money is fungible. You can move it from one pocket to the next, and I like to make the analogy that I'm moving pockets all the time with money from my front pocket to back pocket to left to right. One of the benefits of working in the state is we have a complicated budget that has lots of pockets, and by constitution, gas money has to go to our transportation and roads. Income has to go to education. Our property tax, for the most part, goes to education as well. The state doesn't really have, we have a minimum levy that we require. I'm not going to get too deep. But property tax element, you go through sales tax, and sales tax is really our primary fungible asset. Then you got user fees, DMV fees and those kinds of things, and those are all by statute dictated where that money goes. But by constitution, for the most part, between gas tax and transportation taxes and income tax, when I have a need in a part of the budget that is greater than it's needed, or than it's, it's excess, and the number one place where that happens, honestly, has been Medicaid. We are now growing. Our state is now growing our rate at 8.7% now is our Medicaid growth per year per annum. And as a result, 8.7, those of you who are financial nerds know the rule of sevens. You've got 7% interest, you know it'll double in seven years. Okay? So if you're looking at Medicaid expenses at 8.7, our Medicaid expenses as a state can and have doubled since I've been in the legislature 3 times. Okay? And those Medicaid expenses are real, and the only fund I have to pay for it is sales tax. And good, bad, or indifferent, our sales tax money has been shifting. Back in the early 1900s, it was like 75–80% of our income, of our stuff was spent, our disposable income was spent on goods. And now they're spent on goods and services. And that goods and services shifted from, it used to be 80% in the early 1900s to now it's down to, from a goods perspective, remember it's like 60%. So we're losing buying power from the sales tax percentage. The problem is, out of sales tax has to come higher education, has to come Medicaid expenses, has to come additional overruns and requirements of transportation, and then it has to fund all the other stuff that the state does that isn't constitutionally protected by the other earmarks. So the effort was, in the very beginning, was, well, how are we going to fix this? And we went back and forth, came up with some options. We dealt with it during the regular session last year. Super hard issue. Representative Quinn and Senator, I'm trying to remember, Fillmore, thank you. Senator Fillmore worked really hard trying to come up with a bill, but as they found out, you start the tax or change everything, everybody shows up and it was super hard. So in that process, to be really quickly, we tried then to hold public meetings, we tried then to shape it, and the issue really comes down to these earmarks and not being able to move things from one pocket to the other. So I ran a bill last session that says, hey, we can use income tax for Medicaid expenses. And that passed out of the Senate with a required constitutional majority, but it did not pass out of the House last session. The House did not have the votes to pass the 2/3 constitutional requirement to put it on the ballot. But even then, I'm not 100% sure that voters would vote to allow income taxes to be spent on Medicaid. I'm not sure. And it depends on what special interest group or whatever group starts advertising saying one thing or another, whether it's true or not. The legislature doesn't have money that we go out and advertise to defend positions, right? And it sounds great to have income tax only be for education, just like it sounds great to say that, you can only spend this much money on your personal transportation costs. So anyway, long story short, if you don't like SB 2001, fine. At the end of the day, let's put it on the ballot. And here's what, my personal belief, or what I would do if it does make the ballot, is I think the legislature should, in the first week of the session, just repeal the bill, at which point it then wouldn't be on the ballot. And then we'll go back to the drawing board and try and solve the problem. Which is fine, that's the process. I'm not hurt by it. And honestly, this is one fix. Are there a million other permutations that we could fix? Yes. The problem in the legislative process is you have to have at least 38 votes in the House. You have to have at least 15 votes in the Senate. And you got to have a governor that'll sign it. SB 2001 is a compromise across, I can point to every single element of that bill, and I can tell you whose name belongs in which part and which part they insist on. So, if you don't like it, fine, I get it. What we have to do, and this is the reason why I feel like we should repeal it the first week of the session if it does qualify for the ballot, is we still have to balance a budget. I cannot walk out of the end of this next legislative session and not have educators and state employees know whether or not they're going to get paid that year, or if they have a budget that's sustainable. One. Last but not least, if you look at the summary or the finances on the bill, It is a tax cut. I don't care what anybody says, it's a tax cut. There is one income classification, I think they're around 50, 60 years old, if they have no kids at home, that does negatively impact, and we actually created a credit for them so that there would be a small cut in it. So, all right, I said.
Who wants to